think, and have gotten to know one another over the last year. And she is an amazing human who is the director for Michigan's Higher Education Recruitment Consortium, otherwise known as Herc. Miranda's position is situated at Michigan State University in their work-life office. Her role with the university expands to faculty and academic student affairs, where she connects to colleges requesting assistance with reaching a diverse pipeline of candidates or support with dual career hires, which I didn't know that was a thing until I met Maranda. So Maranda and the work-life office provide an additional level of assistance for both incoming dual career faculty and non-faculty academic staff and support partners with information about the community and other career opportunities, job market information via career consultations. Prior to joining Herc, Maranda worked for the Infrastructure Planning and Facilities Department at MSU, where she coordinated preventative maintenance work for skilled trades crews. Maranda holds a bachelor's degree in global and area studies and a master's degree in public health from Michigan State University. She is also currently pending certification for both GCDF and CCSP credentials. Way to go, Maranda. Maranda was born and raised in Michigan's Greater Lansing area, where she lives with her hubby, her two young children who are 5 and 2.5, and their zany dog, Ruthie. She enjoys being with her family, and above all else, they love to be outside together and explore. So, Maranda, lead the way.
Thank you. That was a great introduction, and I'm so looking forward to getting my credentials so I can add them after my name and my signature line on my email. That's the best part, makes it really official. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get started here. And somebody let me know if technology is failing me, but I think, all right, I got a thumbs up from Amy. So I'm here to talk to everybody about advancing your career in higher education with Herc. Herc has some great resources that I'll talk a little bit about, and then I will share our webpage and show you exactly how to access those. So some of these tips will be useful to you if you work in higher ed. A lot of them are applicable to everybody, and then I hope that you can take something away from my presentation today to use in your meetings with clients and students that you work with. A little bit about me. I know that Amy gave me a wonderful introduction, but here's a little picture of my family. My son, I realized that I didn't update in my bio. My son is 7 now, so I've used that same bio for a while apparently. So he's 7 now, my daughter is 2, and then we have our dog Ruthie there, and that's my husband and I. We love being outside. I've worked in higher ed for just over 9 years. I've had a variety of roles, a very interesting career path that has kind of had lots of unexpected twists and turns. In my previous role, prior to being in the work-life office as the director of Michigan Herc, I worked in facilities on campus at Michigan State University, and higher ed is just home to me. I became a wife. I bought my first house. I became a breastfeeding mother twice. We got our first puppy. All kinds of life changes happened to me. Lots of career development, professional development while working in higher ed. So it's home to me for sure. So a little bit about Herc. The Higher Education Recruitment Consortium, if you haven't heard of us, is a nationwide nonprofit. We consist of over 700 colleges and universities across the country, and some other related groups too that share our mission and vision and commitment to advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion in the higher education workforce. So really, we're in the business of helping our member institutions diversify their workforce. Our main website, hercjobs.org, is where you can search jobs at our member institutions that are committed to diversity and inclusion. And then you can access, like I mentioned, all of our free career resources and ebooks. You can sign up for a job seeker account, set up job alerts, and then see all of those newer resources that as they come out. There's a monthly newsletter as well. So that's where I'll take you at the end of my presentation here, and I'll show you where to access all of these ebooks and webinars and blogs. First, I want to talk a little bit about career advancement in higher ed and its importance and what Herc is currently seeing from its job seekers. So in 2021, we had a job seeker survey that we release every year. Actually, we're getting ready to release 2022's. But this is a little snapshot of our participants last year. So you can see we had a little bit more faculty than staff, but some individuals reported holding both a faculty and staff position at their institution. And we had a wide range of experience here. As you can see, more than 10 years, 1 to 5 years, 6 to 10, and then some less than a year. So we had this was one of the questions in our survey. If you're searching for a new job, why? And you can see that career advancement was there at the top at 31%, followed by seeking higher salary, work-life satisfaction, dissatisfied with current workplace culture, and seeking remote and flexibility options. These are all things that Herc addresses with their resources. We did separate this data out between faculty and staff just to take a look. And both faculty and staff on campuses had the same top 3. They were in a different order, but they were the same top 3 actually: career advancement, seeking higher salary, and work-life satisfaction. Then we said, do you expect to advance in your career at your current institution or with a new employer? Just to see for our member institutions what that would look like. So 11% said at their current institution, but 56% of our job seekers said either at a new institution, and then 33% said they were unsure. So clearly some employees just don't see career advancement and opportunities at their current institution, and they will go elsewhere to get those opportunities. So it's just so important for our employers. We want to help our job seekers see that too and find it for themselves. So that's part of what we'll talk about today. From your perspective, what are the top 2 indicators of a future employer's commitment to career advancement? So you can see here professional development was at 56%, and then mentorship and supervisory commitment, and internal hiring paths, seeing those internal hiring paths. So we know that the employers are shifting everything. There's different demand on employees' time. There's a lot changing. Departments are shifting. Roles are shifting due to the pandemic. A lot of things are changing. And so it's so important to think about your career path and where you want to go so that you can make choices moving forward, rather than just responding to all this shifting around. And I know that a lot of us talk to our clients and students about this already. We know a lot of this information that I'm about to share with you, but it's always important to get a reminder for ourselves. We have to think about our own careers too, and where we see ourselves and where we want to go. So focus a little bit on yourself today, and then you'll also have some nuggets to take in your work with clients as well. So hiring trends are unclear, as I was saying, shifts in position scope, shifts in departmental structure, and getting ready for a shuffle. A lot of people are shuffling around. There's open positions. People are shuffling around either at their institution or leaving, looking for a new career, rethinking their lives. You know, we've had a lot change, and we've had a lot of time to think about what's important to us and what we want out of our lives. And so that's happening. Employees are shifting around here. So for career, oh, I'm sorry, my dog's gonna bark now. I think the mail lady's here. She gives the dog a treat when she arrives. So if you hear her bark, I apologize. So anyway, some career advancement strategies from Herc. So identifying your ideal next job, building your skill set, strengthening your profile, expanding your network. Things we always talk about and encourage other people to do. But like I said, let's think about ourselves a little bit today too. Identifying your ideal next job. So one thing that I did want to mention is Herc has a job board that lists all of the open positions at our member institutions. And it's a great place to go if you're interested in working in higher ed, or you already do work in higher ed and you're looking for that next step at your institution, to gather and read job descriptions. So you can use the search tool to search a keyword and you can see very similar jobs, but across various institutions. If you're just looking at one school, I know for MSU in particular, where I'm at, if I'm just looking at a particular job at MSU, the position descriptions are very similar across departments on my campus. They're almost identical. But looking at those qualifications and job functions across a few institutions can be really helpful. So making a list of the job functions and qualities that resonate with you, review the qualifications, and then connecting with somebody either at your institution or at a similar position outside the institution. Sometimes there's a name linked to a position where you can just reach out and talk to them. Building your skill set. So then we know the next step, right, is mapping that skill set. So comparing those qualifications of your ideal positions to the skills that you currently have. Leveraging your professional development opportunities in your current position. Hopefully some of you have some of those. I know that we have a certain amount of money that we can spend on career development outside the university. And then we have some opportunity to take courses at MSU. But then, as we know, there's so many other free resources too, like Coursera, and Mish CDA has, Career Cafe, places where you can go to really build your skill set and learn something new. Bolster your soft and hard skills. Look at those position descriptions and get some demonstrable examples of where you might need to build out on those. And ask questions to that person that you reach out to. Dig a little bit deeper into how to do this and why that's important for that position. Strengthening your profile and personal brand. We have a few blogs and webinars on our Herc website that I'll show you that are great for this. Great for tips and tricks on updating your CV and resume. We have a webinar called Rock Your Profile to build out your LinkedIn profile. I know that I need to work on my LinkedIn profile. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm constantly giving out resources to other people on beefing up their LinkedIn profile. And by golly, I never take the time to go in and make mine the best that it can be. So I know that I need to take my own advice there. And then take on some leadership or visible roles on your campus or wherever you work, and get in your professional community. So this is part of that Mish CDA. And I know that this is my first time here and I hope to be able to join more in the future. So I'm really happy to be here, but getting out of your comfort zone too and joining some other professional communities. And then, as we know from Amy Pierce Sanders, she gave a talk on this, but keeping imposter syndrome in check. Don't be too hard on yourself. That's really hard for your mental health and can really hold you back when you're thinking, this is not something I can do. This is where I want to go in my career, but I don't have the right qualifications. It's easier said than done, right? It's easier to tell somebody else that, but it's a constant reminder to keep that imposter syndrome in check and just believing in yourself. You can do this and talking to others. Sometimes it's best to reach out to somebody else. I know sometimes I've talked to Amy, getting to know her this past year has been great, and being able to talk to her and saying, oh yeah, I am capable of this. It's sometimes better if we hear it from somebody else. And then expanding your network. So tapping into formal and informal networks, employee resources groups if you're on a campus, stacking your mentor network, and building networks inside and outside of your institution. So we also have, Herc has a lot of great tips for building a mentor relationship and how to go about that, where to get started, what that looks like, what you might want to talk with your mentor about. And I'll show you where that's at on the website. And then it's just about your path to get there. You just got to take that first step. So sometimes we see that at our institution, there might not be a path for us. We see where we want to get, and either our institution can't support us in that, or we're not seeing the opportunity there, and maybe you have to look elsewhere. So identify meaningful investments in professional development to know if that's the right place for you. You can reach out to recruiters and hiring staff and ask the question, what does this institution do for professional development? What are the offerings? Gauge paths for internal advancement. Look at LinkedIn, look at some of the other employees and leaders at an institution, or even another employer if you're looking to go someplace else, and see what was their career path. Look at their LinkedIn profile and see, was there career advancement at this same place, or did everybody seem to come and go and not really move up in their role at the same employer? So that's a good way to kind of gauge that and check in. Don't be afraid to call the hiring staff. Now what? So going to hercjobs.org, as I mentioned, is a great first start. So you can start that job seeker account, like I mentioned, create job alerts related to your next play that we discussed. Where do you want to go? What's that next job that you're looking for? Updating your CV and resume, keeping that up to date. You know, I have a master resume, and I always say, I'm going to go in there every time I do professional development or whatever, and I'm going to put it in my master resume, and I always forget to do that. So coming up with some way to remember that, leaving it on your desktop, and going in, making, oh yes, Amy.
Miranda, I just want to encourage everybody, this is my career coach hat on right now, put it into your calendar. Just once a quarter, put in a 30 to 60-minute block. That way we won't forget. We take care of everyone else, but not ourselves. And so I'm guilty of what you're saying. So that was one of my 2022 goals. So it is quarterly on my calendar.
Perfect. Thank you, Amy, for jumping in to say that. I should add it to my calendar, because I think, okay, I'm going to put it on my desktop, then it'll be at front of mine. I'll just see it there. And I still don't go in there and update it. And then you're left later trying to update it, and you forget the details. And it's so much harder if I would have just done it at the time that I took the course or got the certification or whatever I may have done. It would be so much better. And that's what I tell other people to do, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. We tell other people to do these things all the time, but just stopping to do it for yourself and really thinking about it for yourself. It's easier said than done.
Absolutely.
Perfect. All right. I'm going to put a reminder on my calendar. That's my goal today. That's my first next step. And I'm writing myself a note right now for it. So I think I mentioned this before too, updating your LinkedIn profile. So we have a really cool webinar, Rock Your Profile webinar, and consider reaching out to other connections in higher ed just to build out a network. It can be really helpful. You never know when you're going to lean on somebody. Amy, I happened to interview Amy for the Facilitating Career Development course that I took last summer to get my GCDF and CCSP credentials. I reached out to her because we had to interview someone in the field. And then look at all the times I've reached back out to you to say, hey, you would be a good person to talk to about X, Y, and Z, or to connect me with Mish CDA to give this presentation and things like that. So it's just so important to make those little connections.
Yeah, lifelong relationships are created out of just inquiries. So I can't agree more.
Yep. You never know when you're going to need to reach back out. So, and then leaving here today, I hope that you can identify at least one professional development opportunity. It doesn't have to be huge, just baby steps. that you can complete in the next 3 months or 6 months. And then we have a 3-part framework too to show you. So I'll come back to this slide and click a couple of these links. I did PDF this PowerPoint as well. And so if you want these links, I can share the PDF of the PowerPoint out too. Maybe I'll be able to do it in the chat. I'm not sure if I can figure that out. Technologically speaking, I'll give it a shot. And so I'm going to leave a little time for questions as I get the Herc website up and navigate you to those resources. Feel free to either unmute yourself or drop questions in the chat. I know Amy promised to keep an eye on the chat for me. So if you have any questions, you can ask them at this time while I'm navigating here. Okay. I think that I need to do a reshare. I assume you're all still seeing my PowerPoint. Is that correct? All right, so stop share. Let's reshare. Okay, any questions before I move on our website?
We don't have any quite yet.
All right, no problem. I will just keep moving and then I'll leave a little bit of time at the end for some questions. And I know that Ms. CDA had a couple more things to share too at the very end. So here's what is professional development, a 3-part framework. So this is what our Herc website looks like. I'll take you to the home page too so that you can see what that looks like. But this is a more recent article from earlier in 2021, March of 2021. I'm going to be careful with my scrolling so I don't make anyone dizzy. But you can see this is how our blogs look here. Leveling up the basics, bolster current weaknesses, plan for the future. And then we've got a conclusion. There's some links in here to check out. You can see down here, you can go to the previous blog posts. You can also go forward. So here's the webinar, LinkedIn, Rock Your Profile. I'm just going to click that and jump forward. And so this has like a little bit of a blog post that goes with the video recording of the webinar that took place. You can read post-webinar Q&A. So there's a lot of resources here just on this page. I'm going to scroll up to the top really quick and take you to the main. So this, as you can see, is just hercjobs.org. And this is where you can do a career search here. And then if I move my Zoom is over top of all my buttons. This job seeker login up here in the top right corner, the orange button, is where you can set up your job seeker account, set up job alerts for yourself. If you'd like to see new jobs coming along in a certain area, you can try out various keywords for yourself and set up a few job alerts. Feel free to share these resources out. I mean, they're free and available to any job seeker. So use them for yourself and use them with your clients and your students. And this career advice right here in the middle is where I also would like to show you how to access those ebooks that I talked about. So there's this helpful drop down here and you can see the webinars, and I'm just going to click ebooks so you can see we've got 4 ebooks for job seekers out right now. So one is for people new to higher ed, how to apply for higher education careers. And then we have a guide for job seekers with disabilities, veterans transitioning into higher ed. And then this is our newest ebook, Having Our Say, Black Voices on Working in Higher Education. So I'm just going to click this one really quick, just to show you what it looks like. If we scroll down, you can download it. It's a larger file. So you just give your name and your email, and then you can download the ebook. But you get a little peek inside. So what I wish I had known: surviving and thriving in the academy, managing cultural taxation and combating burnout, in life on campus, Black women speak out. So it gives you, when you click on an ebook, gives you a little peek inside and what it might be about, and then you can go ahead and download there. The last thing I'm going to show you, whoops, sorry, technical difficulties. I have to move my Zoom toolbar again. under career advice, career resources. If you click that, you can see all of these. They have like a little tag up here for networking, just general career advice, 3 steps for building your online network, how an English major succeeded in a STEM field. And then there's all these helpful categories. So you can look through all of them. There's a lot, but they're broken down into these categories here on the right side of the webpage. And that's really what I wanted to direct you to, because there are some wonderful ones. So we have general career advice, and then here's where I mentioned some CV and resume advice. There's also cover letter advice in there as well. Higher education career exploration, maybe if you're new to higher ed and you're wondering what's there for you. If you're a LGBTQ plus professional, I think we have one for veterans, Black professionals, professionals with disabilities, professionals of color. And here's a one for mentoring. So I know we talked about that earlier. There's a whole section of our resources on mentoring. And then there's one down at the very bottom for work-life balance. That was something that came up when we were talking about the job seeker survey that Herc did in 2021. And work-life balance was really at the top. So some tips and tricks on work-life balance and how to ask for what you want. So really advancing your career in higher ed is thinking about what you want, what your next move might be, what you're looking for in professional development, and asking for it, being upfront about it rather than just responding to all these changes that are happening, but trying to really create your own path and take charge over that. There's a lot of comfort in knowing that you're making your own path instead of just responding to a path that's being made for you. So I encourage you to do that and to leverage these resources to do that, whether you already work in higher ed or not. So with that said, that's all that I had to share for you today. I wanted to leave 15 minutes or so for questions for everyone. So if you have any questions for me, feel free to ask at this time.
I have questions. I always have questions.
Ask away.
So while you have the, if you could pull the website back up.
Oh, sure. Sorry.
No, I would just love our guest to see the plethora of job opportunities. So if you can log in maybe as a user or just type in Michigan into the search so that they, because personally, I utilize this to know what's happening in the world of higher ed. But my clients who want to go into higher ed, whether it's when I have my E3 coaching studio hat on or my Grand Valley hat on, this is a website that I use often for those purposes, to be able to show, like, here are the plethora of opportunities that are available in Michigan or Ohio or what have you. So just wanted a visual of what types of positions are featured on the site and what types of higher ed institutions are out there.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I just did, let me back up here. First, I just searched just Michigan, and these are member institutions. We have about 30 now throughout Michigan. If somebody listening today, or even listening to the video recording of this afterward, wants to know if you work at a higher ed institution and you want to know if it's a member of Herc, feel free to email me, reach out to me, because if your institution is a Herc member, there's another host of resources that's separate, and any employee at a member institution has access to those, and I can help you navigate that if you would like to check out additional resources as a Herc member. So yeah, if you see a school name on here, then these are Herc members. Here on the side, like you can see University of Michigan is a Herc member. So here I just typed in Michigan. We have almost 2,500 jobs that showed up. And then I just typed in career to see, you got to play around with the keyword a little bit because different schools use different words in their title names a lot, but you can see 537 under Career and Professional Development, Office of Career and Professional Development, Engineering Career Resource Center, so Wayne State, Michigan State, Delta College. We just had Lansing Community College join. We have quite a number of community college, Mott Community College, Oakland University. So yeah, quite a few. And they're great. It's easy to just click around. As you can see, the details pop up over here to the right. So you can click and quickly see some overviews.
And then Miranda, for our guests on the line, share my little tip is I just set up an alert for Michigan. So anytime there's something posted, comes right to me. So I don't have to remember to go out on the Herc site. It automatically sends it to me. So
perfect. Yep, you can save jobs right here. And then, like I said, up at the very top, excuse my scrolling again, this orange button is this job seeker login where you can set up job alerts right here. Sign up. So you would click over here to sign up, fill out your information. It's just really quick, confirmation email, and then you can go in and you can add your resume. You can make it viewable to employees. So on the member side, there's a resume database. So our members, if they have a hard to fill position or they're starting a search, they'll go out and look at the resumes in our database, and they can contact people that might fit their job descriptions and see if they're interested in applying.
Miranda, this is Krista. I had a quick question. Does this data get pulled from Indeed, for example, or is this with the Herc members and in separate? I'm just wondering if these are a unique list of job postings that I wouldn't find necessarily other places.
Some of them, it depends on the school. So if that school posts their jobs on Indeed also, that would be a separate thing, but their Herc membership, most of them have an automated feed. So at night when they post to their own career website, those jobs automatically go to our Herc job board. There's a few smaller schools that don't have quite as many jobs and they haven't set up an automated feed. What happens is they post to their own website, and then after that they go to our Herc website. They manually post on our website. But some you might see on Indeed as well, if that school does that, and some you may not. It just depends. Good question though.
And then would love at this time to open it up to guest questions. Feel free to raise your hand, unmute yourself, and ask those questions. Would love to hear what your thoughts are. For me, Miranda, I am curious. In your next survey, are there going to be any questions around preference of working style, whether it be hybrid, remote? Is that going to be incorporated, or are you going to wait to see what information bubbles up?
Great question. So right now we're almost done, but we're working on our questions, and we do have questions in there about working style. So one of them was around pre-pandemic. What did you work fully? Some people were working fully remote already. Mm-hmm. So were you working fully remote? Were you working a hybrid schedule, or were you working in person? And then now what are you doing? And what do you want to do in the future? Just to see how people, did the pandemic change the way people want to work? I mean, yes, our guess is yes. And what we see in some other surveys, yes, but we're hoping to see from our job seekers what they would like, and then how they want their institution to support that. It's going to be really hard if you've been used to working from home and then your employer's like, sorry, you have to be in person 5 days a week, all your hours in person, because we really want to help. So we have these resources for our job seekers, but then we also have the membership side, and we want to help our member institutions. Like, listen, this is what we're hearing, and this is what you need to do to both recruit, hire, and retain your employees. You're going to need to make some changes here. Some shifting has to happen.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Guess we have a few more minutes. What are those burning questions out there?
I'm kind of curious. You mentioned that if you're a Herc member, or that there's this other set of benefits. I guess I'm kind of curious what that might include, because I know people in higher ed on this call may be interested in making sure that they know what those are.
Yeah, let me show you really quick. Okay, I'm going to reshare my screen. Sorry, everyone. I keep getting out of it. I'm going to show you really quick. So a lot of them, a lot of our resources for our member institutions are around recruitment and retention of employees. So there's a lot of HR focus, but then we also have a lot of DEI focused resources. So I'm going to get rid of some of these. Okay, are you seeing my browser here? You're seeing me navigate? Okay. So this is the login. So if your institution is a Herc member and you are an employee there, you can get this login, Herc Connect. This is our member portal. It's an online community. And we have resources listed here under recruitment and retention. So we have a search committee training toolkit for our institutions who need some training for their search committees and how to conduct those searches and how to reduce bias in those searches. We have a virtual recruitment toolkit, which came out at the beginning of the pandemic, and how to navigate recruitment in this virtual world when we're not going in person to all of these career fairs and things like that. And then some retention. We have a disability inclusion toolkit, some work-life resources. But this is what I wanted to show you. Under My Herc, we have this maximizing your membership. And it says, what's your role? And so this is where I usually direct our members first. So you can see human resources professionals, deans, provosts, and department chairs, DEI professionals, work, life, and dual career. For anybody, I know Amy was talking about dual career. For anybody that is not familiar with dual career, that's when you're hiring somebody to come to campus and they have either a spouse or a partner that also needs a job either on campus, and sometimes that's part of a negotiated contract where you agree to pay for part of the salary. The hiring department agrees to pay for part of the salary for that partner or spouse to work on campus, or maybe there's no contract. They're just looking to see, can somebody help me navigate campus and how to find a job on campus or even outside just in the community. So I do career consultations with partners and spouses for that. And then we have recruiters and talent acquisition professionals and compliance professionals. Compliance professionals refers to OFCCP compliance. So if a school gets government funds for any research or anything like that, they have to prove that they are advertising their jobs to diverse individuals. So I'm just going to click on DEI just to show you, because I think that these resources are great and they're useful to everybody. So you can see some of our live and archived Herc webinars. We have the search committee training toolkit included under here. And then recognizing DEI work in promotion and tenure review, natural partners, leveraging departmental strengths to achieve lasting diversity goals, developing a diversity scorecard, navigating the road to diversity and inclusion in today's tech world. So you can see we've got hashtags. Every time we come out with a new blog or a webinar or a toolkit, we put some hashtags on there and then they pop up under wherever they're also applicable. So you can see these are just library entries in a greater library that we have. And then if you go home, you can see my communities here on the left. And we have various communities where you can ask questions to the greater Herc community. So I'm part of a dual career community, but there's also a global Herc community, which are the members across the country. And then the advisory board that I'm part of. And then Michigan Herc has its own community to just talk with other Michigan members, ask questions. One that I've been getting recently is we want to revamp our flex and remote work policy and we're looking to see other schools' policies. Can we share those out? So we started a thread where schools could share those policies and, you know, we could check them out and see, and so people can update theirs or revamp them from pre-pandemic. Does that help? Give you a quick overview?
I think
Yeah,
it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Perfect. Any other questions that I can help answer? I'm going to drop my email address in the chat really quick. And you all can feel free to email me anytime. And hopefully I'll be at some future career cafes as well.
All right. Hopefully you're seeing my screen now with the Career Cafe information. Is that correct?
Yes.
Filmy and friends, thank you. My computer, again, technology issues. Guests, please know you will be able to see this presentation at mishtda.org/career cafe. Miranda, thank you for taking your time, your knowledge, and investing in us at Michigan Career Development Association. And we are immensely grateful. Again, if you're not the member, going to do one last plug, reach out to me, Amy Pierce-Sanders. Love to chat with you. And Miranda, thank you so much. And thank you to everybody here who perhaps spent their lunch hour or pre-lunch hour with us.